4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3.
Well, hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well.
3.
We've got a sound. Can you mute the sound? Sorry, we're just sorting out our sound issues right now. Pardon me. Sorry, we're just sorting out our sound issues right now. I'm going to mute so we can figure out how to figure out my sounds. Can you hear me okay now? This is a new format and a new location for a live stream, so we're just working through some details before we get going. Can everyone hear me okay? You can hear me fine? All right, good. All right, that's all we needed to do. Woo! Well, you know what? Will you give me a chance and let me redo that entrance again? Because we planned it and we want it to be really fun. So hang on. Going away. You didn't see anything. And welcome to my Travel Diaries live stream. We always take the first couple of minutes to work out the kinks. And I'm thrilled to be back and doing a live stream, chatting with you all. And this occasion is different. Do you notice I don't have butter and sugar and cream in front of me? It's because I'm here to introduce a brand new series. Now, those of you who have been visiting me and joining my live streams over the past few months, I've hinted at this project I've been working on and hinting, and now today is the day. We are finally launching the first episode of Anna's Food Travel Diaries. Now, what I love about all of you as my Oh Yum viewers is that you come from around the world. And of course, the past couple of years, we haven't been able to travel the same way. And I love traveling, and I've missed it so much. But you know, at the same time, I love cooking at home and sharing my recipes with you. So we thought, let's put these two things together, and I will travel, experience, share with you my delicious adventures, but then always bring it back to my home kitchen, my studio kitchen, and create a new recipe inspired by those adventures. So in the spring, we traveled to Istanbul, Turkey. Oh my gosh, it was absolutely amazing. And then we traveled to Milan, Italy. So we've created a series of episodes in those locations, and then we've got more travel adventures that I'll be revealing later on. I see people are writing from all over the place: Malaysia, Australia, Singapore. I would love to include those destinations on this Travel Diaries series, but we're starting off with a delicious episode in Istanbul. And I know I have some fans from Turkey. I hope you're watching right now. If you can't join me, you'll see the episode. The first experience we had was a delicious Turkish breakfast, which I was so overwhelmed when it was brought to the table, because this isn't a single plate of food. This was a buffet basically presented to the table. I don't want to give away much more because that episode and the recipe I make is inspired by that Turkish breakfast. Now, I see we got questions coming in. I would love to get your questions over the next, we've got 25 minutes, and then I'll pop over to the premiere episode so we can continue the chat on the chat thread while the episode is airing. But let's take a moment, and if you have any baking questions, it can be travel questions, it can be baking questions. It doesn't have to be about the series, but you know I love having this opportunity to speak with you. And I see Ahmed is asking if I made kunafa. I tried it while I was in Turkey, but I did not make a recipe using it having the actual dish. But, it is absolutely delicious. I see people writing from India and Brazil. And oh, Hermione, I would love to come to Greece for this series. So we tend to plan our travel about 6 months ahead, just to give you a little insight, because we have to plan the travel adventure, how we're going to do it. When we filmed the footage, the travel footage for Istanbul and for Milan, my husband did all the wonderful camera work of the travel series and the recipe taping. And then I had my producer, Jennifer, join us too. And she's someone I've worked with. All the videos you see here on the OEM channel, from the Bake series, from Occasions, Jennifer is the director and producer. And we've known each other so long that it's easy to be in front of the camera and feel like I'm talking to a friend, just like I'm talking to you now. When I do my live streams, I'm able to feel more comfortable because I know you're there. I see you on the thread, and that's very important. And, oh, there's a good question. Rob, the channel manager who's moderating the thread, saw Lisa Gilhooly pop up, and our fantastic editor, Emily, put together these episodes that are just so delicious. She does such an amazing job. Oh, hi, Bonnie. Bonnie from down the street, except I'm a little further down the street because I'm actually traveling right now. I'm speaking to you from the south of France, and we will be filming a travel diary episode here and in Portugal as well. And Alejandra, I see you're asking, can I come to Mexico? I actually will be visiting Mexico City in March, so if I can, I would love to do an episode there. But I'll be hosting a culinary tour. Michael and I just came off of hosting a culinary tour through Madrid and Sevilla in Spain before we arrived here. And so what we did, we brought a small group of Canadians over, and we experienced everything Spanish cuisine related. Because our memories, I don't know how you are, when it comes time to think back on a travel experience, for us, our memories about the food are what pop in our minds first. And so when I picture visiting Madrid just over a week ago, I think of the plates of jamon, the tapas, the little visits to the different tapas places where they only do one thing and they specialize in one dish and one dish. And then we had a cooking class where we made gazpacho and the tortilla, and we made paella and an orange olive oil cake. And it was absolutely amazing. Oh, Catherine, you're asking, is Michael still teaching? Yes, he is still teaching at Niagara College, though he booked off holiday time this month so we could be here. Ahmad, I would love to come to Malaysia. The kueh lapis, the desserts, the steamed rice flour desserts with all the different fillings, the gula melaka, are so delicious. I love particularly onde onde. I think they're just amazing. Oh, and we've got Craig here, who was a part of the tour, and I'm so glad you're joining us, Craig, and I imagine Kathy's watching too. I'm glad you enjoyed the cooking class. Now, if anyone has any questions about baking in general, you know these live streams, I always take questions. They don't have to be directed to a specific topic. I'm just going to have a sip of water. Oh, a cooking class in Oman. Wouldn't that be a wonderful idea? I have visited a few countries in the Middle East, Qatar most recently. I have not been to Africa yet, and so I would love an opportunity to visit there too. And good morning to you, Traveling Chef Bari. It's nice to see everybody weighing in. I see from Saudi Arabia too. And so we are just under 20 minutes away from the premiere of Anna's Food Travel Diaries, so it's exciting new show. Now, you know, I'm never just going to put out a video and then not include a recipe portion. So what you can look forward to with each episode of this new series is a recipe, because I want to recreate that memory of the travel experience. And you know, traveling is about the people you meet and the food you share together. And so those recipes really are about recreating the travel experience. And I never wish to just say, simply create a recipe as a copy of something I had. I leave it to the experts. You know, when we had our breakfast in Turkey, these are people who have been making Turkish breakfast for years. There is an episode coming up later in the season where we toured a baklava bakery. It was unbelievable. So I want to leave the making of traditional baklava to those experts. But I do have a twist, taking my own baking expertise and interpreting those desserts to create something altogether new. So I look forward to your thoughts on how you like these new creations based on the experiences. Oh, Craig, good question. What was my favorite dessert from Spain? You know what? This sounds absolutely crazy, but when we were in Seville, that Olmo cremeria that sold the Spanish version of gelato. It was very different than Italian gelato. It was so creamy, the flavors so innovative and creative. I just thought it was phenomenal. The cremoso ice cream, pardon me, with Pedro Jimenez sherry and fig, absolutely phenomenal. I'm just going to take a pause here. You'll have to excuse me. I did catch a cold. Pardon me. I'm just going to hit mute for a second and step away. Oh, I'm back. Oh, you know when you get a tickle in your throat and it just won't go away? Well, this is really a real live stream, don't you know? I'm not scared of that. You've been following me so long. You know, we work in real time here. Oh, Ahmad, you're asking a very good question. Will I be baking phyllo dough from scratch? I couldn't even imagine trying that process. It takes years of expertise to really get to know that. Oh, pardon me. So sorry about this. It's the nonstop talking through a live stream. You know how it is. Oh, I like this tip. Humming helps with the throat tickle. I'm going to give that a try, Catherine. To just kind of... Oh, it is helping. Hey, that's a great tip. This is why you join the live stream, so you can learn little tips like that. Well, when we move over to the premiere video, I will only be typing. And I won't be speaking on the live stream. That way you can watch the video. Oh, and thank you. I'm actually over the worst, which is why I've just got that tail end of the stuffy nose, and we didn't test positive. That wasn't an issue, fortunately. Oh, we've got someone saying they can't cook bread. Now, that can take a little bit of practice. And I see we had a question about bread improvers and yeast. Yeast is essential to bread for it to rise, and yeast feeds on the sugar in your flours. And when bread is proofing at room temperature, the yeast likes a warm environment. It converts the sugar to alcohol and carbon dioxide. When you bake your bread, the alcohol cooks off, and you're left with the airy holes produced by the carbon dioxide in the bread. So yeast is essential. Sometimes you can find bread improvers which accelerate the yeast, but you don't get the same flavor and you don't get the same crust at the same time. Oh, it's true, Cheyenne. A pinch of salt and lukewarm water does help a scratchy throat. There we go. I'm working it through, but thanks for your kind words. My favorite bread is, I would have to say right now, because I'm in the south of France, a good French baguette. I'm enjoying the fact that I can walk 500 meters down to the local bakery and buy a freshly baked baguette, and it can be still warm sometimes. Has it happened that I don't arrive home with the whole baguette? Yes. You have to enjoy it when it's fresh and available. Oh, Amna, nice to see your note. Babka, apple cinnamon. Oh, good. You're making all the recipes I've been doing lately. These are some of my newer recipes. So thank you for continuing to follow the live streams. And I will be joining a launch of a new episode of Anna's Food Travel Diaries on October 28th. So you can come back and join me again. And whenever possible, I will join the premiere of each Friday's new episode so we can have a little chat, but I'll give you advance notice so you know if I'm coming. But we do have more live streams scheduled. Rob and I will be back November 21st and 2 holiday baking episodes in December. So you have those to look forward to. Oh, Lenore, here's a good question. What tea do I use for cake? And Amna, I see your question about the honey cake too. Tea is a great way to work flavor into your dessert recipes. Any recipe that calls for water or milk, you can infuse tea into that liquid to add flavor. And you want to brew it quite strong. It does depend on the recipe, but anything simple from an orange pekoe tea, but really aromatic teas, like a green tea, an Earl Grey that has that citrusy bergamot worked in. You can use in a spiced rooibos tea, adds great flavor. And some teas, like rooibos tea, which isn't actually technically a tea, you can grind it up finely and use it almost like a spice in your baked goods. Anywhere that the flavor has a chance to sort of steep through is where you want to work in tea. And now, Amna, I saw you were asking about honey cake. I do have a recipe for the Medovic, the burnt honey cake. Is that the recipe you're looking for? Because I can consider that for a live stream later on. In fact, I was measuring when I should do it. I might save that for a winter live stream because that's when we tend to have a little more time. And when you're making that multi-layered honey cake, it takes up a lot of space in your kitchen, even though the assembly isn't terribly difficult, but that would be a fun one. Oh, and just to recap, the first episode of Anna's Food Travel Diaries is about 13 minutes away. We can move right from this live stream over to, if you go to the video page, you will see the Anna Makes Menemen Breakfast Pastries icon come up. And that will be the premiere episode of this brand new series, Anna's Food Travel Diaries. If you're just joining me now, welcome. I see some new names popping up in the list. And to see some favorites like Hermione and Bonnie, it's great to see your names there too. Filomeno, thank you for joining us. Oh, Susan, tocino di dosseo recipe and tutorial. Is that similar to tocino de cielo, which we had in Spain and is absolutely delicious? And I've also tried it in the Philippines, which was truly, truly amazing, that you can see the global influences of desserts. And that is a little bit of what I like to talk about on when I talk about food and how these dishes relate to each other. There's also a secret trailer about to play. Oh, thank you, Rob. I don't think I knew that the trailer was going to precede the series. That's fantastic to know. Oh, and thank you, Catherine, for that recipe correction. I'll make a note of that. We'll change it so that the 1 cup, you're correct, is the correct measurement, not the 125 mil. It should be 250 mil. And I'm just taking a moment to read the threads while we chat here. Oh, okay, and Amna, that is the multi-layered burnt honey cake. And you burn honey to work it into the dough, and you actually roll out the cake layers like they're pastry and bake them. And then you've got the burnt honey cream filling. Oh, it's such a good cake. Ahmad, you're asking, what is vanilla powder and is it similar to vanilla extract? Well, it does. That's a good question. The vanilla powder does the same thing the extract does, is that it adds the vanilla flavor to your baked good. The key difference, and this may be important depending on who you are, is the vanilla powder. Vanilla extract is often alcohol-based, where the vanilla powder is simply a dried sugar-based product, so you can add that easily. And usually the packet instructions include the equivalent of how much of the powder to add to replace a teaspoon of extract in a recipe. Very good question. Oh, here's another good question. Can I make a cake using water instead of milk? I wish I could say yes, but the answer is actually you'll find you'll have a different result, because that little extra fat, that the dairy that milk lends to a recipe, if you replace it with water, you may find your baked result ends up being a little dry, a little crumbly, and lacks a bit of flavor and structure. So if you aren't using dairy milk, you could use another milk alternative like a soy milk or an almond milk or oat milk, and you will have a better result than just simply switching to water. I hope that answers your question. Oh, Wingfield is asking, would I do a travel series to the Caribbean or showcase Latin American desserts? Would I love to do that. There's so many great dessert recipes from the Caribbean. And then, of course, with the crossing of cultures, there's interest in how, working with molasses and spices. And the Latin American desserts from Central America and South America are absolutely delicious. I have tried some recipes like torta balcarce from Argentina, chaha tort from Peru. There's so many of these beautiful cakes, recipes, of course, featuring lots of dulce de leche. Oh, Nati, hello from Argentina. I just talked about torta balcarce, which has dulce de leche, a sponge cake, a meringue layer, and toasted walnuts. It's absolutely delicious. Hello, Helbert from the Philippines. I see we have lots of new people joining us continually, so thank you for joining me for this live stream. We're only 8 minutes away from the premiere of Anna's Food Travel Diaries, and I love doing these Q&As. It's a great way to connect. Beatrice is asking, did I go to Peru? Not yet, is what I'll say. I would love to visit Peru. And now that we're talking about traveling more regularly, as I mentioned earlier in this live stream, we tend to plan our trips in the spring and the fall, and we try and group a number. If I can visit a number of countries in one tour, and that way I get a richer, fuller experience. Oh, hi, Raf. Nice to see you there. And it's just, there's so much of the world to see. And meeting so many of you right here through Oyam has also inspired me to be more adventurous and try new recipes and share and, to get your thoughts on what I'm creating. So I'm very interested in what you'll have to say about the breakfast pastry I create based on my Turkish breakfast experience most recently. Oh, here's an interesting question. What can elevate a banana bread dish? You know what? That's a very good question. One of my favorite things to do with banana bread is actually make a banana bread pudding. So you know how you take normal day-old bread and then you would soak it in a custard and bake it and make bread pudding? Well, if you take banana bread, say you have half a loaf left over, cut it into cubes, toast it a bit in the oven to dry it out, and then you make your custard, but you add melted chocolate to it. And then you soak your breadcrumbs in that, and then you bake it, you get this chocolate banana bread pudding dessert that is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Oh, now here's a curious question for Rut. Do soft drinks have an effect on making a cake spongy? I have never tried using a soft drink in a cake recipe. I've heard about it, but I haven't tried it, so I can't even answer that. But that's a very curious question, and that gets me thinking a little bit. Maria's asking, oh, Maria Murata. Is that the Maria Murata I know? from outside of Toronto? If so, hello. There could be quite a few of you, though. Do I use monk sugar at all? I haven't explored monk sugar, though I've heard about it, and I would like to explore. So already, I'm going to take this chat thread and make my checklist of things to do. And hello to Amanda from South Africa. Oh, it is you, Maria. Well, it's been ages. I hope you're doing well. Maria makes the best espresso coffee. I used to come to her cooking studio years ago and do cooking classes. So it's nice to see old friends joining the thread. It's so nice you're here. Oh, and thank you, Maria Elena from Guadalajara, Mexico. I recently made a jericaja dessert from Mexico that was delicious. And it's a custard that has a burnt top to it. It's a burnt milk custard. It's funny how burnt things are becoming so trendy. You've got the burnt honey cake, burnt custard from Mexico, the Basque cheesecake, which is burnt on top. It seems to be a popular flavor that we like, that super caramelized taste. Orel is asking, can you temper white chocolate? Yes, you definitely can. And if you visit my menu of live stream recipes below, you will see I do a live stream on tempering chocolate altogether, but I talk about the temperatures that you need to hit if you're tempering white chocolate, because it is slightly different than tempering dark chocolate. You know what? It's great to see everybody's questions come up. We're only 4 minutes away from the premiere. So remember, you don't stay on this live stream. When it's time, you pop on over. There will be, I'll sign off in, let's say, 2 minutes. So that way we all have time to move on over to the premiere page. And I will join the chat thread through typing. So I won't be visibly on the screen, but I'll be there to chat. And I love these questions. We'll take a few more questions before we sign off. Ross is asking, is it possible to replace all-purpose flour with gluten-free flour in basic cake or cookie recipes? If you have an all-purpose gluten-free baking blend that you enjoy, generally yes. Simpler recipes like cookies and muffins take on the gluten-free flour easier than more complex recipes. My starting point, if you don't have a gluten-free blend that really speaks to you, my starting point for every 1 cup volume of all-purpose flour, I start with 2/3 of a cup of brown rice flour and 1/3 of a cup of tapioca starch. I'm using volumes because the weights do vary, so the volume is the 1-to-1 equivalent there. So give that a try. You can use a little bit of xanthan gum, but honestly, a 1/4 teaspoon is all you need to lend structure. Great question. It's great to see all these threads. Beatrice loves the cheesecake, and Rob's on top of our spammers. You know what? As much as the spammers are a little bit of a nuisance, at the same time, it means we've got a good following and people like us, so the spammers like to follow us. But Rob's on it already, I see. Oh, Diego, hello from Barcelona. You know, we were there on Saturday, briefly. We went to El Nacional for tapas when we were in Barcelona. The weather was great, a beautiful part of the world, and hopefully, yeah, there you go, Diego. Give us a like, spammers. If you're going to come haunt our thread, at least give us a like. I would love to visit a Balkan country one day. So thank you for that, Orel. And oh, Renew, thank you for joining us. We've got lots of friends here. And I would love to return to Malaysia. I've been to Malaysia a few times. It's been a few years. I'd love to come back. So on that travel note, talking about all the places I'd love to still visit, let's move over to the premiere of Anna's Food Travel Diaries so we can catch my adventures, delicious adventures, that I had in Istanbul, Turkey. And you can look for new episodes coming every Friday at this same time. I'll join the chat thread when I can. And it's just been so great spending half an hour with you. And to those of you who are watching from Canada, happy Thanksgiving weekend. It's our Thanksgiving holiday on Monday. And for everyone else, I will see you soon move on over to the premiere of Anna's Food Travel Diaries, first episode Istanbul, and I will see you on a live stream very, very soon. Thank you, everyone.